A common refrain in the Cardano community right now is why can't they see? Why is the rest of crypto so blind to Cardano? Whether it's willful blindness or not is a good topic for another day. But there is a marked lack of visibility of Cardano, and the question is why? The same question could be posed of Joe Biden's embrace of General Motors, internal combustion engines, and his posing in Corvettes when he could embrace electric vehicles, Tesla, technology, and the future. Why don't we see Biden in the Cybertruck? It's because the man is nearly 80 years old and he's not thinking about the future. He's thinking about right now. It doesn't matter what wins in 5 or 10 years. There is no 5-year plan. Only what people recognize and support right now. That's what matters to him. Crypto is the same. Ready? Let's go. Today, we will discuss a well-known crypto commentator unbelievably claiming Cardano has no DEXs, an IOG head of product testifying before the California State Senate, an interesting thread on Ethereum centralization of validators, and something new in the Eternl wallet. If you're an enthusiast of sketchy purple urban entrances leading to apparently nothing, or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please consider delegating to the army of spies, stake pool, ticker AOS. Right now, we'd love your help in getting back over that 8 million in delegation figure. We seem stuck just below 8 million. Sometimes we'll peak above 8 million for a moment, and then we drop down below. We'd love your help to get us above 8 million and then even potentially stay there. There is obviously a gigantic asymmetry of information in relation to Cardano in crypto. Within the Cardano community, we have a very well-informed community, almost hyper-informed community. Everyone seems to know exactly what's going on in Cardano, and a lot of Cardano supporters could rattle off the names of a huge number of projects that have either already launched or are coming soon. But then we have a different story outside of the Cardano community proper. Even people who hold Cardano, who aren't really a part of the community, like the figure we're about to talk about here, don't seem to know almost anything at all about Cardano, which is amazing because they've actually invested in this asset, and they seem to know so little about Cardano. We'll argue another day about whether or not this is intentional misinformation, just them executing on propaganda, or whether they're actually this misinformed. That'll be a topic for another day. Today, we'll just sort of take them at their word and think they're telling the truth when they spout this misinformation. But in this case, we have a well-known YouTuber who has a wide viewership in sort of general crypto commentary. He did this video, and I believe the video is called, as the little graphic in the top right there indicates, "These altcoins will die." And of course, Cardano, very prominent among those coins. We've got XRP, Binance Coin, Litecoin, and then we've got the one very colorful coin, Cardano. Granted, those are probably appropriate colors for the other coins, and Cardano is just a brighter blue color, but Cardano, very prominent among those coins. The amazing part was not that he made a video called "These Altcoins Will Die" and that Cardano was a part of it. We kind of expect that from the greater Cardano space and these kinds of general crypto commentators. The amazing part was that in the video, he expressly stated that Cardano didn't have any working DEXs. It was only made more inflammatory because he said, "We don't even have a working DEX in Cardano," as if he's some integral part of the Cardano community, when in fact, if he had even a passing familiarity with what was going on in Cardano, if he was even slightly a part of the Cardano community beyond having just purchased this asset and probably paying zero attention to Cardano, if he was paying any attention at all, he would know we've had a working DEX since November. MuesliSwap launched in late November, and it was followed by SundaySwap, MinSwap, Wing Riders, and we've got others launching soon. So we've got at least 4 prominent working DEXs. Some people would argue additional names, but I would say those are 4 big prominent ones. Maybe you'll like to add to that list. But we've also got other big DEX launches coming soon. And each of these launches was a pretty big deal. If you were paying any attention at all, if you just type hashtag Cardano into Twitter, once a month at any point in the last several months, you probably would have seen information about DEX launches. If you had just Googled Cardano DEX or searched Cardano DEX in any social media platform, you would have found an abundant amount of chatter about DEX launches. This crypto commentator obviously hasn't done that. It's bizarre. If you're a general, even just a general crypto commentator, even if you don't specialize in Gen 3 platforms, even if you're not interested especially in smart contract blockchains, I would argue that all of the general crypto commentators actually are, but even if you're just a general crypto guy, Cardano's a top 10 crypto. If you would just punch hashtag Cardano into Twitter once a month and look around for 5 minutes, you would probably have more information than this general crypto commentator. Again, we won't argue whether or not this is intentional misinformation, intentional propaganda, or whether this is actually just a misinformed person. That's a topic for another day. But it's obvious that there's this much, much lower level of visibility into Cardano. There's this level of blindness towards Cardano. Today, I'm going to argue this is not anything special about crypto. This is just human nature. Humans don't really think ahead. As much as we as rational humans like to think that all humans are pretty much looking forward to the future and very interested in innovation and new technology, humans actually aren't that way. Human nature often involves this neocon thing where humans look around and they say, what is accepted by the group? What is the group like right now? What does the group think is wise right now? And then most people, human nature in a lot of cases is to embrace that thing. If you're in the Cardano community, this is going to sound wrong to you because I would argue that the people in the Cardano community are more open to innovation. They're more forward looking. They're part of this sort of front guard that looks to the future and actually plans ahead. A lot of other people in crypto are this way as well, but there's also a gigantic mainstream contingent in crypto now, and they don't look forward. They don't look to the future. They say, what has the approval of the herd right now? Where is the herd right now? That's where I want to be. That's actually the constituency of most of these crypto YouTubers. Most of these people commenting on crypto in general on YouTube and elsewhere in social media, their constituents are this mainstream herd who aren't comfortable with planning ahead. They're not comfortable with innovation and new ideas that haven't yet been accepted by the herd. What they're interested in is what's the orthodoxy? What is the herd already accepted? That's what they want to hear about. They get uncomfortable if you start talking about the stuff that's outside of the acceptance of the herd. They just want to know what's the party line? What does the herd accept right now? This is also exactly why we see Joe Biden posing for photographs in Corvettes. You're saying if you're one of these, open to innovation, forward-looking, planning for the future type people, you're thinking to yourself, if I'm Joe Biden and one of the problems with my image is that I'm too old, I'm going to embrace things that young people embrace, like technology and being forward-looking and all of those things. What does Joe Biden do? Not that. He does the opposite. He embraces Corvettes, which is like the most old guy sports car you could ever imagine, or at least, in most of my lifetime, it has been like this old guy sports car. When I see Corvettes on the road, it's always an old guy driving them. I think that maybe that's changing a little bit recently, but he's embracing what a lot of people would describe as an old guy sports car. Why isn't he jumping in this Cybertruck? And it's because people like us in Cardano who embrace the future and are planning for the future and embracing technology and innovation, we're not the people he's trying to appeal to. Not at all. He's trying to appeal to people who have this neocon, this little bit of a neocon mentality. They like what's already established, what the herd has already approved of. They're not trying to get involved in the innovation thing. That's not most people. He's trying to appeal to most people. And most people are comfortable with what's already been accepted by the herd. I'm afraid in the crypto space, crypto YouTubers, as much as we would hope they would be these forward-looking, innovation-oriented people, they're not. They're just trying to appeal to the masses, to the herd, and the herd is not really even in crypto, which is, at large an innovative industry. Even within an innovative industry like crypto, the herd is not interested in things outside the orthodoxy. They're not really into anything that's even innovative within the crypto space. They're into the party line, what the herd has already accepted. So we shouldn't be surprised when these general crypto YouTubers don't know anything about Cardano. They're trying to service their audience, and their audience doesn't want to hear about outside of the party line stuff. Their audience wants to hear about the party line. A few of you out there are probably saying, hey, you're unfairly calling these guys mindless trend followers, like they're communist Politburo members who will follow the party line no matter how illogical. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. Here's another great example of this phenomenon. If you look at this post from Coin98 Analytics, they say, hey, here's a chart, total number of validators on popular blockchains. And, they've got Cardano at, something like 2,000, and that number's not quite right. We actually have over 3,000 stake pools, so the Cardano number's not right. But then we go up and we find that they're showing Ethereum at a number of validators equivalent to something like 369,000. This, of course, doesn't make sense to Cardano people. People are pointing out the inaccuracy of the 2,000 number versus the 3,000 we know that Cardano has, and they're questioning the Ethereum number, of course. Obviously, a lot of people are going to read this chart and the title of the chart, and they're going to think that this is an indication of decentralization. Hey, the more validators, the better. Obviously, the more validators, the more decentralized. So people start asking the question, okay, what do you mean when you say validator? And is this really a good indication of decentralization? Because certainly this fits the party line. The party line is Ethereum's great, Ethereum's the best, don't question Ethereum. Certainly don't question the decentralization of Ethereum. This is part of the party line. Ethereum is plenty decentralized. You shouldn't be questioning the decentralization of Ethereum. So people ask the question, okay, what do we mean when we say validator? Is this really a good measure? Whatever you're referring to by validator, is this a good measure of decentralization? And this poster at dagaffer101 posted this link to a very interesting thread. If we follow that link, we find this thread from 9 months ago that explains this in detail. The question posed was, why is number of validators so low in Cardano, impliedly, compared to ETH 2.0 that isn't even merged? And there's a great post right here explaining this in detail. Simple Yam says, it's an illusion. Ethereum 2.0's Nakamoto coefficient isn't any better than most other proof-of-stake networks. Just for your information, Kraken, the exchange alone, runs 25,000 validators for Ethereum 2.0. Obviously, in crypto, in the blockchain space, we would say, hey, if one entity is running a bunch of validators, those validators aren't really increasing decentralization in any meaningful sense because one party could turn them all off. Simple Yam says Cardano pools have a saturation of 64 million ADA, which at the time of his post, also 9 months ago, was worth almost 2,000x, 2,000 times more than 32 ETH. 32 ETH is the amount to run a stake pool on the Beacon chain on Ethereum. Basically, any entity is forced to run more Ethereum 2.0 validators because a validator is locked at 32 Ethereum max, but they are still run by a single entity, hence creating the illusion of so many validators. In terms of Nakamoto's coefficient, 34% of the validators are managed by 12 entities, and 51% of the validators are managed by about 34 entities on Ethereum 2.0. And he includes an edit. Kraken has 25,000 validators, not 40, my bad. But still, I think we would say if one corporate entity controls 25,000 validators for purposes of decentralization, we're kind of going to think about that as one party engaging in validation on the blockchain. So we can look at this Coin98 post and say, okay, so maybe this is technically correct. Maybe these relative numbers of validators are actually correct. But if they're trying to convey accurate information, it's pretty obvious that people are going to look at this chart and come to the conclusion that a blockchain like Ethereum is ridiculously more decentralized than all these other blockchains, including Cardano. And that's not quite the full story. The full story is more nuanced than that, and it's a very different story than the one told by this graph. So why don't they explain a little bit? Why don't they say, hey, number of validators is not equivalent to decentralization? Just any small note like that at all. It's because that's not the party line. The party line is that Ethereum is perfect. Ethereum is great. Maybe not Ethereum is perfect, but it's that Ethereum is great. The one thing you don't question about Ethereum is decentralization. We say bad things about decentralization in regard to these other chains, all the rest of the chains that aren't Bitcoin and Ethereum. The big criticism is they're not decentralized enough, and this chart fits with that party line. If you're a good Ethereum Politburo member, this is the kind of chart you're going to reference, and you will not mention that, you know, some ridiculous number of validators might be run by a single party, like in the case of Kraken, as cited in that other thread. This is the party line, so we talk about this instead. This is actually probably exactly what their audience wants to hear. Humans, like we talked about earlier, are interested in right now. They're not really interested in trying to predict the future, planning for the future, trying to prepare for the future. Humans are interested in right now. So Joe Biden poses for photos in a Corvette, not a Tesla, and Coin98 tells you why the project, which is the clear pick by the herd, is actually a good pick. They want to provide you with reasons that support the orthodoxy, not things that challenge the orthodoxy. So they tell you about validators on Ethereum, not the relationship of that number of validators to actual decentralization. It fits the party line. It fits the orthodoxy right now. Here's a very positive development in crypto policy. Recently, Tony Rose, head of product for digital identity for IOG, testified before the California State Senate on Senate Bill 1190. He talked about the Cardano project in Ethiopia to put student records on the blockchain and how similar benefits could be garnered for California students. But don't get overly excited here. He was just sort of testifying about the value of digital identity. And when we come and look at this bill, SB 1190, it looks like this and just sort of talks generally about cryptographically secure, verifiable credentials. And you can see here there's some thought, even though this is a deleted subsection, there's some thought toward a possible pilot project to allow high school students to use verifiable credentials for student transcripts. If you haven't opened the Eternl wallet recently, you might want to do that. We've now got release version 1.7.0, which has a new dApp section. When I say dApp section, I don't mean a new button you push when you want to connect your wallet to some dApp you're using. I mean, it's an actual section with actual dApps in it. So here you can see a little representation. We've got the artifact, we've got artifact, JPEG store, Sunday swap, and min swap, all available in this dApp section. I think we're all aware that IOG is at some point going to bring out their wallet, and it's going to have what's been characterized as a full-on comprehensive dApp store with some level of verification or accreditation for dApps. And people are very anxiously awaiting that. But we've already got a little version of a little selection of dApps within Eternl that are available to you. And they're all dApps that we're familiar with. I think we're all familiar with MinSwap, SundaySwap, JPEG Store, and Artifact at this point. But this is yet another reason why I find myself, when I go to open up a new wallet for some reason in Cardano, I find myself more and more often defaulting to Eternl wallet and wanting to use Eternl wallet. I think we've got a bunch of good wallets in Cardano. We're kind of lucky, and then we have several good wallets in Cardano, and we have a bunch of good ones. But I find myself reaching for Eternl more often than the others recently. This new feature will just be another reason that's happening. I hope you had a good weekend. You're starting in a great week, and I will talk to you tomorrow.